If you're giving a social skills lesson and you are the one doing all the talking, you're working too hard. This game puts the kids in the lead. They're the ones hosting, debating, and actually practicing their social skills. It's called Social Skills Jeopardy, and I'm going to show you how I set it up and why it works. I actually made this game about 8 years ago when I was thinking of how to do something for my more intermediate and advanced learners, but it would cover a variety of topics and also, very importantly, be something where the kids are interactive and moving. Having a movement component to almost every game or activity I do is really crucial because it not only cuts back on them being bored and gets their buy-in, but it also really helps their motivation and the learning sink in. So in my version, 2 of the more lighthearted and easier, so to speak, categories would be 1, name that tone, okay? And for this one, they come up, for example, and choose name that tone with a point amount. This one's 5. When they come up, they look, only they can see what's on the other side, which, for example, this one is silly. So they have to say, I dropped my ice cream cone in a silly tone. They say it, and then the other kids in the audience have to guess what tone they're emoting. And if the audience guesses it, the person who did the action gets the point. And really, we just play until they get the points. So that's that one. Everybody in this category says the same sentence. In this case, it's I dropped my ice cream cone. You can change it to anything you want, but you want to have it something easy to say and a little bit silly. The other one that's a little bit on the lighter side is what's that face? So kind of similar concept. The kids will choose what's that face, for example, 5 points, and they turn around, only they can see the face, and they are going to convey that emotion or that feeling to the audience. In this case, it's confused. If they can emote it, portray it in their face accurately so that the audience guesses it, they get the points. But again, it's really not, I do the points just because they like the points in the moment, but if you don't put a big emphasis on the points, they are not going to either. You might have 1 or 2 that are kind of concerned about the points, but let them be because the other ones really aren't. Be a role model for that, give the points, but do not emphasize the points. It's just kind of there to keep the momentum going. A silly one I do is rhymes with dad, and this one, the answers all rhyme with dad. And so, for example, they can choose a point value, and they could have this one. They can read what this says: angry, irate, furious. What is a synonym that rhymes with dad? Okay, they get that, and then they get their points. So those 3 categories actually have real answers, sort of like definitive accuracy. The next ones are open-ended, opinion-based, and really are designed specifically for the discussion. They are not designed to assess any sort of accuracy. They're just designed to elicit the discussion. For example, so we have here, what would you do? These are scenarios and they are opinion-based. How I normally give points to these is if the class in general, or the audience in general, agrees that the answer is valid in the sense of it's generally appropriate thing to do, and they generally agree. It may not be exactly what they would do, but they can kind of see how that would also be acceptable. So we kind of go with a general idea of this. So an example is they pick the point amount, they then look at the answer, the question. For example, this one is, you see someone fall down, you're not sure if they're hurt. Obviously, there could be a million different responses to this, and the idea is not to just get one set response to this, but the idea is, what would you do? And then you can also kind of foster it too. Oh, has this ever happened? Have you ever fell down? And what did someone do? This is something that happens all the time at school on the playground. So it's very appropriate and something they have seen and maybe they have experienced. And if they don't know, you can be creative and let them get help from the audience, like, hey, get a lifeline, call a friend type thing. and then they can ask, I need some help, and they can call on somebody in the audience, and then you can decide whether the original person gets the points, or maybe a lot of times what I do is I split the points. Again, not a huge emphasis on the points, but it gets them going during the game. So what would you do? I like that one. You learn a lot about your students when you do this. And it lets them know, again, in something in general with social skills groups, that we're not looking for correct responses. That's not what social skills is about. It's just about contextually, what do you think you would do in the moment, thinking about other people and yourself. Okay, so another one that is more advanced would be hidden meanings. Why I came up with this one is a lot of times kids, they think very literally and they have trouble sort of reading between the lines. So this one is designed to at least to get them thinking about that subtlety when people say something, but maybe they don't exactly mean it. For example, Danny is tapping his pencil on his desk. Christy is sitting next to him and says, "Pretty loud in here, huh?" What does Christy really mean? If she's saying, "Oh, it's pretty loud in here," what could that mean? How about turn it around? The reason I came up with this category is to sort of foster that growth mindset and to try to reframe when kids, sometimes something negative happens and they ruminate or they start spiraling by like going really far into conclusions. So an example of turn it around is, this is a 15. The points to the questions are completely arbitrary to me. I try to do them a little bit more difficult, but because they're all opinion based, it doesn't really matter. No one has ever said anything yet about difficulty levels. So this one is, we have to draw people in art class. I'm really bad at it. I think I'll just scribble all over my page. So this is somebody who's assuming they're going to be terrible at it, so they're just going to give up before they start. This doesn't have to be art. It could be sports. It could be academics. It could be friendship. The point is, this is sort of like a negative and defeatist mindset, perhaps based on reality, but let's talk about it. I like to bring up situations in which I always try to elicit very subtly, has this happened to you? And then once that one kid says yes and relates a story, the rest of them are going to want to open up and share too. And the fact that you are not saying yes, right, yes, wrong, gives them that space. Okay, another one of mine is, why is that rude? I think we probably all have students who do things once in a while and they're not trying to be rude, but let's be honest, it is. And that's okay. They're there to be kids and we're here to try to guide them. So why is that rude? For example, this one is a 5-pointer and this one says, you really don't like your friend's YouTube video, so you give them a thumbs down. Why is that rude? Okay, that's something that they can relate to. If they don't have channels, they probably watch YouTube videos, I'm sure. And lastly, what I like to do is try to think of something that will get them to focus on their self-esteem, something good about themselves. Really try to emphasize this one. So this category is, I'm awesome because, and an example is a 5-pointer. I'm awesome because, tell us why you're a good friend. Any answer is acceptable, but I will say the last time I did this, one of the kids had a little bit trouble with the abstract notion of being a good friend, right? So he needed some guidance. He would say something arbitrary like help people. Okay, but try to give an example of what they do to help people. This child knew that helping people is a good friend, but I'm trying to get them to think about good things that they do. It doesn't have to be anything monumental. It could be, I let you borrow my eraser for 5 seconds. So try to guide them in thinking something specific so they could picture it in their mind. That one time I told my friend I liked their shirt. Like, that's being a good friend. That's noticing something and complimenting. Anything positive, but try to have it be something that they actually did and not just something that they're making up. In this game, when I play it, I just sit back and very subtly facilitate. This is a really student-led game, and they like it because it's low pressure, they get to move up and down, and it's something a little bit different. As an educator, I get to do lots of different skills, as you can see in the variety that I picked, and if you have different skills to work on, just pick those different skills. My advice is to make sure that it's balanced and get some silliness in there. So make it fun, make it relevant, and adapt it to your needs.